Hello YouTube, Cousin Kinoko here, back with another pickup video. I've been picking up quite a lot of stuff over the summer. I've been finding quite a few games and different things, and also I have a big bundle coming up in a month or so. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be the biggest pickup I ever made in my whole life, basically, and I'm quite excited to show you that. Some really quite rare and uncommon stuff, 2 new consoles, etc. But for this pickup, I'm going to show you what I picked up this new console here. We have the Phillips Videopac G7000, and this was also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2 in the US, and it was basically competing with the Atari 2600. So the graphics are quite similar to that, and the console came out in 1978. And this is a console that I have been looking for quite a while. It's actually one of the consoles that I had as a kid. Now, I'm a little bit too young to have grown up with the 2600 or the G7000. I'm born in '82, so this basically came out 4 years before I was even born. But my first console ever was the NES, and my bigger sister, she had a boyfriend at the time, and he grew up with this, and he gave me his old console because he knew that I like playing video games. So when I was around 8 years old, in around 1989 or 1990 or so, then I had this and I was playing it alongside of my NES. Obviously the NES got more love from me than the G7000, as it was a more modern console and I had more fun with that, but the G7000 was surprisingly quite a fun console to play around with at the time, and I put a lot of time into this, and I had a lot of fun with this. Fun memories of sitting in the basement, playing on the old CRT TV. So I'm happy to finally get this console in my collection. I've been looking for this for a while. It's not a very expensive console to pick up. The games are not very expensive as well. It's not too sought after, but at the same time it's not a very common thing to come across. It wasn't very successful in its time. It didn't do very well. Only has a few titles released for it, I think around 50 or 60 titles. But yeah, I bought this together with 13 games, and I paid 65 euros, so that's a really good price, I think. And I really appreciate the whole design of this thing as well, that it has this keyboard here. I think that's pretty cool. It's a really nice collectible there. And it came with 2 controllers. This is how the controllers look. They have a little analog stick here and an action button as well. And of course came with the cable. It looks like it has been chewed on by a dog, but I'm pretty sure I can tape it up and it will still work. The guy did say that he tested it and everything works as it should. And yeah, he was a guy, I went over there and picked up the console. He was a guy in his 40s, and this is actually the console that he grew up with, and he's had this since he was a kid. He kept everything, like all the manuals and the cardboard boxes and all the stuff. It's in pretty decent condition considering the age of the system. So yeah, let's just jump right ahead and I'll show you the games that it came with. First off, we have number 4, Air, Sea, War, and Battle, 2 games in one. Now, Battle is a kind of a clone of what's it called? Tanks for the Atari 2600. The Videopac didn't really have any third-party support, and they basically made all the games themselves. So you have a lot of clones. You don't really have any ports of different games. So yeah, you will see some clones here. Then we have number 18, Laser War. Seems to be a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, and the guy said that this is one of the better titles and that it's a lot of fun to play. Then we have number 34, Satellite Attack. And then we have number 39, Freedom Fighters. And this is one of the games that I had back then as a kid, actually, and I spent a lot of time with this. I'm really happy to find this in this bundle and to have this again. It was one of the nicest games on the system from the games that I had back then. It's a cool little side-scrolling shoot 'em up here, and yeah, I think another nice thing about the Videopac is the nice cartridges here. It's always has this black label with white and red text, and a nice handle here, so you can get a good grip when you pull it back out from the system. Oh, I actually haven't seen this. Maybe he wrote down some high score. 384 Punkte bei Spiel 0 mit grünem... Oh, he even wrote a date here. 2nd of August 1986. That's when he got this high score. That's quite nice. Yeah, and then you have the manual here in the front. So also it's quite nice that they have the different titles. Like every game has the title translated into different languages. So you have Freedom Fighters, Freiheitskämpfer in German here, and Danish and Swedish, Rymdväktarna, Los Libertadores in Spanish, and I think that's quite fun. And some of the titles are quite funny when they are translated, like sounds a bit strange. And then we have Jerry Anderson's Terrahawks, and this is a Videopac Plus cartridge, and it's the only Videopac Plus cartridge of the bundle. And that basically means that it can be played on the G7000, but it can also be played on the model that came afterwards. I think it's called G7200 or 400 or something like that. And if you plug it into the newer console, you get a bit more detail and more color. You have some backgrounds here, and not just really basic black backgrounds like this. So yeah, that's that one. And then we have number 24, Flipper game. It looks like a really basic flipper there. And then we have number 20, Stone Sling. This was also released for the Videopac Plus. For the Videopac Plus, I think there's only like around 20 something games released, and for the normal Videopac I think it's around 50. So, and this is I'm so happy that this is in the bundle, because this is one of the games that I had as a kid, and it was the one that I played the most. And as you can see, basically it's like a Space Invaders clone. As I mentioned, there were a lot of clones on the system, but this is number 22, Space Monster, and I think this game is worth owning if only for the box art, which is just simply amazing. A little bit blurry here, I'm sorry about that, but it's got this really nice 80s sci-fi airbrush style going on there. And I remember as a kid, you know, playing this game, and then I would just look at the cover for a very long time and try to kind of wrap my head around how those little pixels there are supposed to symbolize this crazy stuff going on. Like you have this little white triangle there, and that's supposed to be like this guy racing on this hover bike, whatever thing, with a cannon in the middle. And I thought this illustration was just really mesmerizing and amazing, and I somehow imagined in my head, like, imagine if the game would actually look like this when you played it, which is interesting because nowadays it would actually be possible, but you know, nowadays they don't really make this kind of stuff. You don't really have any games made in this kind of style, which is a shame. It would be really amazing. Like, they should make a remake of Space Monster just like this in 3D, and would be amazing, I think. So yeah, that's a really good game there, and easy game to come by also for the Videopac. Then we have number 38, Munchkin. This is a Pac-Man clone. Another copy of Space Monster here. This is the cardboard box edition. And yeah, again you see the different translations here. Space Monster, Das Weltraummonster, Rumuhyret, Rymdmonstret, Monstruo Espacial in Spanish. Funny to have these different variations of the title. Then we have number 19, Catch the Ball. This was 59 D-Mark back in the day, and the guy bought it at Woolworth apparently. So These cardboard boxes are a bit in worse shape than the rest, but they're still complete. Then the final game that I had as a kid, out of these 13 games, I had 3 of them back in the day. This is number 1. It has 3 games on it. It has Race, Spin Out, and Cryptogram. And the Race is the game that I spent the most time with, and actually a really nice racing game. Would play this quite a bit. You had the first race here is like Rad Racer pretty much. You drive along a road and opponent cars come towards you as obstacles. And Spin Out is like something you could play 2-player with a friend. This is what I would play the most when a friend was visiting. You drive around the circuits and try to beat each other. So really a nice game there as well. And then we have a little interesting piece of Videopac G7000 history here. This is a promotional poster, and here you have the whole family happily sitting around the TV, smiling at each other and playing some video games. And then you have a collage of all the different covers of the different games, and I got a bit interested with I mean, these red robots. That looks kind of cool, and don't really know which game that is, but really cool robot design there at least. And here you have some screenshots of the different games, and it's quite funny. The previous owner, he made some little notes on this poster. He made a little cross with a ballpoint pen here of the games that he owns. I wrote a little note here, haben wir, we already have it. And it seems that he owned pretty much every game there was. I mean, he's crossed out everything here except number 20, which is Stone Sling, which is actually one of the games that came with the bundle, so the guy must have owned pretty much every game there was for the Videopac. And on the other side here we have some pictures of the system. Here how it looked when it was brand new, hooked up to an old CRT. And here are some more screenshots and some info on the different titles. And again, the previous owner made some little notes, some mini reviews. Again here, haben wir. And then he wrote what he thought of the different games. Scheiße, shit, doof, stupid, nicht gut, 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 nicht gut, nicht so gut, nicht so gut, doof. So most of the games he thought were good. So overall he was a happy customer. But Blackjack, that was a shitty game, apparently. So finally we have a bit of a special item here. I'm almost running out of time on my camera here, so let me just start over. Finally we have this game here, Die Suche nach den Ringen. There were actually 3 big boxed games released for the G7000, and they were like a mix between a board game and a video game. And this is the one that I thought seemed the most interesting of the 3. The other ones are like, there's one called something like with Wall Street, like you're buying stocks and stuff like that. So I prefer this Lord of the Rings inspired role-playing game, if only for the illustrations. I'm not a big fan of this kind of old school role-playing with dungeon masters and stuff like that, but you know, or I've never even tried it, so I don't really know. But came with a board here, which is the board game part of it, and it also has these overlays. And I think basically the dungeon master would be the one to sit with the console in his lap, and then you have this newly assigned buttons here with the overlay, and he clicks the different buttons here. And I don't really know how this game works, but I assume that the other players then would be playing on the board with these pieces. So, and here's the cartridge as well. And the nicest thing about this game, I think, is the manual, which has a really nice production value, a nice gold foiled cover here, and a little cutout hole where you can see the illustration of the dragon coming through. It's a bit interesting with the the German version of the game that it actually has a different title on the cover and on the manual. On the cover here it's called Die Suche nach den Ringen, and on the manual it's called Das Geheimnis der Ringe. But in English it's only called Quest for the Rings. So, but it has some really nice illustrations here inside the manual, and I think this is worth owning, if only for the box art and the manual. So some really nice artwork there. So yeah, that's basically it for my pickup this time, and yeah, G7000 bundle with 13 games for 65 euros. I'm quite happy with that deal, and finally I have the console that I had as a kid again. My mom actually threw this out at some point. I don't know what happened to it, but I lost it somewhere along the line, and finally I have it back. So hope you guys enjoyed watching this pickup video, and until next time.